I want to tell you something real, something that actually happened. And the reason people don't like talking about it is because it forces you to ask a very uncomfortable question. What if your mind isn't really yours? Back in the 1950s, during the Cold War, the United States government became deeply obsessed with one idea. Not just influencing people, not just persuading them, but controlling them completely. This wasn't science fiction, and it wasn't some conspiracy people made up years later. This was a real program, run by the Central Intelligence Agency, and it was called the CIAMK Ultra Program. At the time, nobody outside of a small circle even knew it existed. There were no headlines, no warnings, no consent. And that's what makes this story disturbing. Because many of the people involved didn't volunteer. They didn't sign up. They didn't even know they were part of an experiment. They were just living their normal lives. Some were students, some were prisoners, some were patients in hospitals. Ordinary people who woke up one day, completely unaware that they were about to be used in something designed to break the human mind. And one of the main tools they used was a drug called LSD. At the time, it was still new, not fully understood, unpredictable, and extremely powerful. But here's where it gets worse. They didn't always tell people they were taking it. Imagine sitting in a bar, having a normal conversation, drinking something you didn't think twice about. And then slowly, reality starts to change. The walls don't feel still anymore. Sounds don't make sense. Your thoughts begin to slip like they're no longer under your control. And you don't know why. You don't know what's happening to you. You don't even know it was done to you on purpose. That was the experiment. They wanted to see how far the mind could be pushed, how easily it could be broken, and whether it could be rebuilt into something controllable. Some people were dosed once. Others were dosed over and over again, for days, sometimes weeks. Sleep deprivation, isolation, psychological pressure, all layered on top of each other. Not to heal anyone, but to study what happens when a person starts to lose their grip on reality. And one of the most disturbing parts of this story is that even people working with the government weren't safe. There was a man named Frank Olson. He wasn't a test subject in the way you might expect. He was actually a scientist, someone involved in government research. But one night, during a meeting, he was given LSD without his knowledge. At first, it might not have seemed like much. But in the days that followed, something changed. The people around him noticed it. He became paranoid, restless. He couldn't think clearly. He started to feel like he was losing control of his own mind. And imagine how terrifying that is. Not just feeling afraid, but feeling like your own thoughts aren't safe anymore. He tried to make sense of it. But how do you explain something when you don't even know what was done to you? Then, in 1953, while staying in a hotel in New York City, Frank Olson fell from a window. He died instantly. At the time, they called it suicide. A man under stress. A man who couldn't handle the pressure. That was the official story. Clean, simple, easy to accept. But years later, the truth started to come out. His family discovered that he had been part of a secret experiment, that he had been given LSD without consent, that his mental state had been altered deliberately. And suddenly, that simple explanation didn't feel so simple anymore. Did he jump, or was he pushed? That question has never been fully answered. truth is, his story is just one piece of something much bigger. Because behind closed doors, MK Ultra wasn't just one experiment. It was many. Different methods, different locations, different subjects. Thousands of people were involved in one way or another. Some knowingly, many unknowingly. They tested extremes, pushing people past their limits, watching how the mind reacts under pressure, under confusion, under fear. Not with physical violence you could easily see, but with something far more invasive. They were trying to reach into the human mind itself and take control of it. Some people never recovered. Some were left with long-term psychological damage. Others carried experiences they couldn't explain for the rest of their lives. And for years, nobody knew, because it was all hidden, classified, protected. Until the 1970s, when investigations began to expose parts of the truth. But even then, it wasn't everything. In fact, before the program could be fully uncovered, thousands of documents were destroyed, shredded, burned, erased. Which means what we know today is only a fraction of what actually happened. Think about that for a second. A real program, real people, real experiments, and most of the evidence gone. The CIAM Care Ultra program was off.